Michael, and good morning, everyone. So today you're going to learn about homeostasis, all right? Which includes the negative feedback control, positive feedback control, regulation of blood glucose, okay, level, and then the regulation of body temperature. All right. So before we proceed, I want you to watch this video, right, on homeostasis, okay, which is more on the regulation of the blood glucose level. So credit to the owner of this video, which I downloaded from the YouTube. I can't recall which channel it was. All right. So goes to the owner, copyrighted owner of this video.
Fluctuations in the internal and external environments are constant for living organisms. The body responds to these fluctuations by a process called homeostasis, the process of maintaining a relatively stable internal environment. We will look at fluctuations in blood glucose levels as an example of homeostasis. You are studying for a biology exam, about to review the chapter on cellular respiration, and decide you need a little extra energy. You consume an entire 32-ounce bottle of soda, approximately 1 liter. Your mid-study snack contained 100 grams of sugar and 400 calories. At first, you might have a burst of energy, but 30 minutes later, you begin to feel lightheaded and can't seem to keep your eyes open or your mind from wandering. What happened? To understand this unexpected result, we'll explore how your metabolism can get out of balance and how your body works to bring it back to normal. The cells of your body are fueled by glucose molecules that travel throughout your body in the bloodstream. Because glucose is so important, your body responds to fluctuations in blood glucose levels to maintain stable levels through homeostasis. After consuming food, the mouth and stomach begin the process of mechanical and chemical digestion. The partially digested food moves from the stomach to the small intestine, where larger molecules are further broken down. Smaller molecules, like the monosaccharides, glucose and fructose, are absorbed by the cells lining the intestine. Glucose passes out of the cells and into the interstitial fluid, then into the bloodstream. Once individual glucose molecules move into your bloodstream, your blood glucose level rises rapidly. The high sugar content of the soda causes a spike in blood glucose, triggering a hyperglycemic condition. The pancreas detects an increase in glucose levels in the bloodstream. In response, the beta cells of the pancreatic islets produce and secrete the hormone insulin into the bloodstream. Insulin binds to cell surface receptors and stimulates the transport of glucose into the cells of the body. Because of this rapid increase of insulin in response to the large amount of glucose from the soda, too much glucose is removed from the blood and stored as glycogen inside liver and muscle cells. As a result, your blood is now glucose deficient, a hypoglycemic condition. This low blood glucose level can cause lightheadedness, fatigue, and hunger. In response to glucose-deficient blood, the alpha cells of the pancreatic islets will produce and secrete the hormone glucagon. Once glucagon levels rise in the bloodstream, glucagon will diffuse out of the blood and bind to cell surface receptors in the liver, triggering the conversion of glycogen to glucose in liver cells. The stored glucose is released back into the bloodstream until homeostasis has been achieved. Turn back the clock. What would happen if you ate an apple, a handful of pistachios, or some popcorn instead of a liter of soda? The consumption of complex carbohydrates instead of simple sugars, like the ones found in the soda, results in a lower spike in blood glucose. Complex carbohydrates, like those found in healthier snacks, take longer to digest, so glucose is slower to enter the bloodstream. Homeostasis of blood glucose levels is more easily maintained because the drastic changes to glucose concentrations are diminished without feelings of hunger or fatigue. The hunger experienced during bouts of low blood sugar, in addition to disrupting short-term homeostasis, can be a contributing factor to overeating and long-term problems like obesity. Glucose is also taken up by adipose cells during the spike in blood glucose and can be converted into fat. This, along with exaggerated portion size, sedentary lifestyles, and poor nutritional choices, are contributors to the worldwide obesity epidemic. By consuming more calories from natural sources containing complex carbohydrates, your body can maintain homeostasis of blood glucose levels more effectively. This can reduce your risk of gaining weight and improve your overall health. It can even help you keep focused while studying for that important biology exam.
Okay, lol. All right. So I hope you learned something from that video. All right. Okay, that's why eating real food is better than eating junk food, right? Junk food, they have high sugar content, and these sugars are all simple sugars, right? Which can cause or trigger insulin spike, all right? So homeostasis, okay, is the maintenance of a constant internal environment by the body of an organism. All right. So when it comes to constant internal environment, examples are tissue fluid and blood. Okay. Now, homeostasis enable animals, right, to maintain a relatively constant internal environment even when the external environment changes significantly. Right, so this explains why they are humans, okay, or animals can live in extreme climate environment, right, such as in the desert, for example. Okay, that place is very hot, but yet there are some humans or animals can live there, right? The Arctic, for example, another example, the Arctic is very cold there, temperature is very low, but yet there are animals able to adapt there. Okay. Now, homeostasis is important in regulating body temperature, right? Regulating the endocrine system. Now, talking about regulating body temperature, why is it important to regulate your body temperature? Right? Remember, your body temperature is around 37 degrees Celsius, and this temperature is needed for your body enzymes to function at optimum rate. Okay. And then homeostasis is also important in regulating glucose level in the blood or regulating blood glucose level. So homeostasis involves the receptors, right? Involves receptors, brain, effectors, and two feedback controls. So homeostasis, okay, they are controlled by hormones, okay, and regulated by the nervous system. So meaning to say homeostasis are controlled by endocrine system, right? Because hormone is the endocrine system and regulated by the nervous system, right? Why? Because of the hypothalamus. Now, the two feedback controls, they are the positive feedback control and negative feedback control, right? Now, positive feedback control is the control mechanism that amplifies the stimulus. Okay, like what we have discussed in the pituitary process before. Changes in an internal factor causes further changes in the same direction. Okay, and positive feedback control is very seldom used in homeostasis because the effects are extremes. Now, one example of positive feedback control, okay, occurs in the pituitary, which again we have discussed earlier. Now, example is, right, the oxytocin, remember, stimulates contraction of the myometrium during pituitary, and this will cause more oxytocin to be released. And what happens when more oxytocin is being released? More contraction on the myometrium. and the cycle repeats. Okay, the other feedback control is the negative feedback control. It's a control mechanism that damps its stimulus, right? So changes in an internal factor causes the internal factor to be restored to its constant condition or normal level, right? Example, cold environment will decrease the body temperature. Okay, so thyroxine is produced, okay, by your thyroid gland to raise your um, metabolic rate or body metabolic rate, which in turn increase the body temperature to the normal level or normal body temperature, right? Let's say you are staying in an environment that is 5 degrees Celsius. Without homeostasis, your body temperature will decline or decrease from 37 degrees Celsius to your environment temperature. Okay, if the environment is 5 degrees Celsius, your body temperature will decrease from 37 to 5 degrees Celsius, right? But homeostasis prevents that, right? Especially the negative feedback control, right? Where the tyrosine will increase your body metabolic rate, and in turns, this will increase your body temperature to the normal level, which is 37 degrees Celsius. All right, now, so first we are going to discuss about the blood glucose level. All right, so before we proceed with the blood glucose level, all right, you need to know about your pancreas. Okay, your pancreas has islets of Langerhans. Okay, and in these islets of Langerhans, there are these alpha, beta, delta, and F cells. All right. Apparently, these islets of Langerhans, okay, wait, how do I say this? It will appear in your okay. Apparently, this islets of Langerhans is compulsory, okay, for STPM candidates to know about their structure, their functions, and which cells in this organ, all right, secretes glucagon as well as secretes insulin, right? Okay, so now from this diagram here, okay, you can see the alpha cell, right, which is less dense compared with the beta cell, and because of that, the color of this alpha cell, all right, appears to be lighter compared with the beta cells. These alpha cells secretes glucagon, okay, while these beta cells, as you can see from here, okay, which appears to be darker because it's rich with vesicles, right? Because of that, these beta cells appear to be darker, right, and less dense than the alpha cells. And then these beta cells are the cells in the islets of Langerhans that secretes insulin, right? Okay, the delta cells, F cell and exocrine are not in your syllabus, right? So I won't further discuss on these cells. Regulation of blood glucose level. Okay, so when the blood glucose level increases above the normal level, this is a condition termed as hyperglycemia. All right. Insulin will be secreted by the beta cells of the islets of Langerhans. Okay, candidates, students, please mind the spelling of the islets of Langerhans. Islets with the S there, right? Of Langerhans with another S here and capital L. Right, so insulin will be secreted by the will be secreted by the beta cells. Next, what happened? The insulin will bind with the insulin receptor on the liver cells, okay, and enhance glycogenesis in the liver cells. Okay, glycogenesis is the synthesis of glycogen from glucose. Okay, so meaning to say, after insulin bind with the insulin receptor on the liver cell, glucose in the blood, all right, will diffuse into the liver cell, and then from that glucose that is inside the liver cell will undergoes glycogenesis, right, to form glycogen. Insulin, all right, increases the rate of cellular metabolism or respiration, because the glycogenesis, all right, needs ATP as well as oxygen. So this in turn increases the rate of cellular metabolism. Then the glycogen that is formed or synthesized is stored in the muscle or liver, right? While fats, right, from the excess glucose will be stored as adipose tissue. So these are the symptoms, right, of hyperglycemia. Okay, now when the blood glucose level fall below the normal level, okay, oh sorry, I forgot one thing here, right? So after glycogen is stored in the muscle or liver, all right, and the fat is stored as adipose tissue, what happens to the blood glucose level? Initially it was above the normal level, right? So after the glycogen is already synthesized, the blood glucose level will increase back to the normal level. Sorry, the blood glucose level will decrease back to the normal level, right? Because in hyperglycemia, the blood glucose level increases above the normal level. So after glycogenesis, the blood glucose level will decreases back to the normal level, right? Okay, so when the blood glucose level fall below the normal level is a term for hypoglycemia, right? So glucagon will be secreted by the alpha cells of the islets of Langerhans. This glucagon will enhance glycogenolysis in the liver cells, right? So in glycogenolysis, right, glycogen is hydrolyzed into glucose. Glucose, all right, also can be synthesized, all right, by gluconeogenesis. Okay, gluco is the term for the glucose. Neo means other substance, genesis formation. So formation of glucose from other substance other than glycogen. So glucose also can be synthesized by gluconeogenesis, which is from protein, amino acids, lipid, glycerol, or lactate. That's why in excessive hunger, right, if you are in excessive hunger, what happens? Gluconeogenesis will occur where, okay, apart from lipid metabolism, okay, muscle breakdown may occur where your muscles tissues are being breakdown, right, into glucose, right, so that your blood glucose level increases back to the normal level. So it's important, right, to have proper diet. Okay, not by starving yourself. When you you starve yourself, what happens? Yes, you become thin, but being thin is it does not picture your well-being, right? Especially breakdown of muscle. This is bad. Breakdown of muscle to supply your body with the glucose from the breakdown of that muscle tissues is bad. All right, so these are some of the symptoms of hypoglycemia. So what happens after glycogenolysis? Right, the blood glucose level will increases back to the normal level. Right now, thermoregulation in endotherms, or the regulations of the body temperature. So when the body temperature increases above normal, all right, hot thermoreceptor will send impulse to the temperature regulating center in the hypothalamus. Now, the temperature regulating center in the hypothalamus will send impulse to the sweat glands, right, which will increase the sweat secretion. So, evaporation of sweat, okay, will cool down the body. And then the smooth muscle in the walls of the blood vessels in the skin, right, which cause the blood vessels to dilate, and we call this condition as vasodilation. As you can see in this diagram here, right, the impulse, right, from the hypothalamus that reaches this smooth muscle, right, this smooth muscle here, okay, the smooth muscle here, will cause the walls of the blood vessel in the skin, okay, to dilate. You can see this blood vessel dilates. When it dilates, all right, what happens? More blood circulates through the skin, bringing heat to the body surface. You can see how this blood vessels is being bring close to the body surface. So this is so that the heat, all right, from the blood vessel, okay, can radiates to the skin surface, and eventually from the skin surface the heat radiates to the outside, to the environment, okay, and from here the skin acts as a heat radiator, because the skin radiates the heat out from the blood vessel into the environment. So the body temperature level decreases back to the normal level. Now, when the body temperature decreases below normal, all right, or below normal level, what happened? The cold thermoreceptor will send impulse to the temperature regulating center in the hypothalamus. So the temperature regulating center in the hypothalamus will send impulse to the anterior pituitary gland, which releases adrenaline hormone that signals the thyroid gland to secrete thyroxine. Okay, the thyroxine will increases the body metabolic rate. So body tissues will increases heat production, right? And the impulse from the hypothalamus also reaches the smooth muscle in the walls of the blood vessels in the skin, and this will cause the blood vessels to constrict, okay, and this condition is known as the vasoconstriction. You can see from here how this blood vessel constricted, okay, and vasoconstriction will divert blood from the skin into deeper tissues, right, to reduce the heat loss from the body via radiation. And then the impulse from the hypothalamus also causes muscles to shiver, right? And this shivering, act of shivering, is to generate heat or able to generate heat. Okay, and this increases the body temperature. So the body temperature level increases back to the normal level. Okay, so that's it for today. See you in the next class. Bye.